Sean here, and I'm not going to talk strictly about Cyrax. I want to talk about dating and how it would apply to him, because some people would see him as a human being. But let's talk about if you have a friend who's consistently making the wrong choice, aka Cyrax, you can't just tell them, you need to break up because, and he's doing this and he's terrible. I'm going with the he because we're, chance. Because there's a first step you need to do. Trust me, if you see somebody consistently making the wrong decision, this will help. You ask them, what is it that you're looking for in a man? Not a boy. If you're looking for boys, you and Chance might get along very well. But you get them to verbalize it for two reasons. Now you know, and now they know that you know. It's like you've gone to the same movie and you can now criticize. You can now discuss the movies. You can discuss spoilers. You have open communication. There are no restrictions. Don't you ever say restriction. Sorry, Lord Armstrong. Armstrong Tourette's. Anyway, it's open communication. So they give you their description. And now, if you have examples of behavior that goes against that, first off, Chance has been accused. Let's ignore the proof, okay? We have it. Let's just ignore it. He's been accused so many times by so many people of being a PDF. Now that should scare away any woman. If someone is being red flagged by a lot of people as being a terrible human being that's done terrible things, you should probably listen. And if your radar's not going off, it's your friend and family's responsibility to ask you the question, what are you looking for in a man? You can't just say, well, he's a PDF, obviously. Well, there's no proof of it. He's been nice to me. He doesn't seem like that kind of person. And I know you want to say this. I know it, because I would say it too. He may not seem like that. Okay, you're discounting their perception. You're discounting their opinions. Let me give you another example. I would never date a blue-haired, nose ring, tattoo, 400-pound woman because they're mentally unwell, definitely unstable, and they're typically the ones you see freaking out and screaming about how evil everyone else is. Now, if a woman has blue hair, blue hair, red hair, like the dyed red, I love redheads, don't get me wrong, but like the dyed hair, purple hair, man, I used to live in Oregon. I have an attraction to those women. I'm sorry, but not the psycho type of women. This isn't where you can look at that person and say they're not my type. I'm not even going to risk it. This is Cyrax, who, if you think about it, doesn't really have a type. You don't know who he is. By the way, if you have blue hair and a nose ring and tattoos, I'm sorry. I would have to get to know you, and you would have to show me who you really are. But in general, this is what I meant. I'm not going to pursue somebody like that. Chance, he doesn't really have he just looks like a goblin. Scabs, the beanie and the sunglasses and the little dollar store fingerless Halloween gloves with this little plastic rings. He's always holding his hands up in the camera because he wants to make sure everybody sees his hipster garbage. None of that would be a deal breaker. When I was younger, if I went out and saw a movie and it was cool, I would always buy some clothes. I don't remember what year it was, 1998, I was young. Can't remember what video I saw, but I went out and bought the sweater. It doesn't matter. The point is, Chance may just be dressing like someone, playing a part. We're talking about in their eyes, and I know I'm off track a little bit. I'm still kind of rattled that I said the blue hair thing because I know I'm going to get blasted. But he doesn't have a style. I love goth women. I would see a goth woman, if she's attractive, I'd be like, wow, how you doing? No, I'm just kidding. I would never say that. Obviously, I get slapped. Chance isn't anyone's type. He has no style, no definition. Literally and figuratively, no definition. And the issue is, if somebody's really interested in someone else, they're going to say, never judge a book by its cover. Well, the cover has PDF, 3 big letters on the front of it. You probably shouldn't date him. Anyway, back to what we were saying. The criteria what they want. It's not your job. It's not really your role or responsibility. It's just a good idea if you see someone making mistakes to say, well, in the past you've had some bad luck. It sounds like you have a clear definition of what you're looking for. I mean, really look at it this time. Do they tick your boxes? You don't have to settle for someone who is hot and funny at times. You can do the whole thing, the whole package. Well, I needed a couch and I bought one. Yeah, but it's too small. It's uncomfortable. No leg space. I mean, yeah, you got a couch. It's like, yeah, you got a boyfriend, but it wasn't what you wanted. It's difficult, especially if there are allegations and accusations. There was a fireman, he married a woman. 4 years later, the first one died. Then 4 years later, the second one died. And she knew that there were allegations that he had killed his first wife. But she married him anyway. And she ended up dead. And what's even scarier is, before he was convicted, he was already dating another woman. Either they're attracted to dangerous men, or they just thought, that poor man, she died, and I don't know what they were thinking. But as I mentioned before, that woman who hired the man who killed her mom hired the man, and while the man was in the house, killed her mom. He got out of prison, virtue signaling gone wrong. Give him a second chance, I'm gonna hire him, and he killed her. Some people, they just don't think, or good intentions got in the way. I know this is kind of a jumbled mess. Now I'm just really having a discussion about how someone would end up with Cyraxx. But again, it is important that they verbalize what they want. Then you ask them, what do you like about this person? And then you can match those up. Point A to point B. How do they describe themselves? If they've only been out on one date, you have another challenge. If they've been out on 2 dates, still a challenge. 3 dates. Remember, like in the beginning, everything's exciting. First kiss. I mean, nowadays it seems like first date, you just boom, body count 900 in like a week. Once they get started, once the romance begins, once they get swept off their feet, you're going to have a hard time reeling them back in. Because remember how strong everything is in the beginning, how fun it is, and how much you're looking forward to them. Guys, if they have to fart, they're going to find a reason to go outside or go in the bathroom and open a window, turn the sink on so you can't hear, and hopefully the smell will go out. Then later, you're sitting on the couch about 6 months later, the guy just lifts his leg up and lets it rip and laughs while you're going, oh my God. And unfortunately, 6 months or more is when they really start to see who that person is, when they spend more time, when they've given up pieces of their life just to be with that person. And they're like, I gave up all of that to be with them. And then you have to go through the breakup and the depression phase. Or in some cases, they just go and get another 900 body count to make up for it. The mindset in dating, I mean, rational decisions are off the table for the most part. And if you're not going with emotion, I mean, that can also be a problem. Well, we seem to be compatible, and I believe on the first date it is customary to kiss, so I better kiss. Not that you want to, but you feel that you need to. As you get older, you just hope that the other person isn't a psychopath. But when you're talking about Cyraxx, and you've got someone that is determined to give chance, an opportunity to prove himself, I think it would be difficult. Unless you could find someone just as bad as he is, who wouldn't mind the behavior. And what's really scary is when you get those two together, they're going to be terrible to each other, but they're going to unite to be terrible to other people. He's had so many fake girlfriends and a couple real girlfriends. It might have been Heather, where they were both apologizing and she was taking up for him and she was being a bitch on the phone, and it was like chance was in heaven. This person is just as terrible as I am. But if you're not a terrible person and you date a terrible person, if you're not careful, you can become a terrible person. I'll bring up DSP because when Kat first started dating him, she seemed like a sweet, loving, young woman, and now she just seems like a cold bitch, emotionless, loveless. And you hear stories about what Bill tells people, how she's yelling at him for being an idiot. And by all accounts, she was a loving and kind person before they got together. Who you're around, it can affect you and you may not even know it. Or maybe it brings out who you really are. And God help you if Chance Wilkins is the one who's going to bring out who you really are. I know I'm kind of all over the place. This is a Saturday discussion. I just want to talk about relationships. And I hope you guys can use that. Tell me what it is you're looking for. And then you ask follow-up questions. You make them say it. Because sometimes it could click in their head that, okay, now that I've said it, maybe this isn't a good idea. I mean, you also don't want to tell them to ask questions. Oh, I'll do it. Then they get to the dinner table on their date, and the last thing they want to do is, where do you see yourself in 6 years? What are your thoughts on kids? We've been on 2 dates. I'm just trying to get to know you. I dated someone I knew from high school that I had a relationship for like a couple months in high school when I was a junior. It was hot and heavy. It was a really passionate relationship. And of course, in high school, 3 months is an eternity. I reconnected with them, and they had turned into this ultra-feminist. If I even mentioned something like, I ask them, do you live alone or do you have roommates? Because right now we were just talking. I'm like, yeah, right now I'm living alone. I don't need to live with anyone, okay? I am an independent woman, and I just looked across the table with a fake smile on my face thinking, what the fuck? People change, but Cyraxx doesn't. The good thing is, if you've been in a bad relationship, your guard is up, well, at least a little bit, and you're not going to rush out, hope, and jump into a relationship that could make you feel like it did last time. Again, Chance doesn't have an identity. It would be almost impossible to figure out what his reality is, what his behavior's like, what he's like. I mean, obviously, well, he's living with his parents. I don't know if I could hear this. He's living with his parents, I know, but times are tough. He is so trolled on the internet, and he says it's because of how he looks. He looks different because I sound different. I mean, I could see a bleeding heart looking at him and just saying, oh, that poor man. He's just never really had a chance. Seriously, though, I just couldn't see a woman willingly taking on a leech that will never, ever do anything, be anything, have anything, can never contribute anything to anyone that would be of any value whatsoever. And I assure you, and I think we can all agree, that after living with him for about a month, you would just tell him at least once, it would just come out of your mouth, you need help. And I don't think you could kick him out of the house. And this is another thing. If someone is in their late 20s, early 30s, and they're still living with mommy and daddy, you definitely don't want to go there for a few reasons. Look how hard it was to get him out of his mommy and daddy's house. Imagine how desperate he would be if he moved in with you and you'd had it because he wasn't paying, or he was a psycho, and you wanted to remove him from your house. It's not going to happen. He's going to demand a couple more weeks or at least a month to get back on his feet. You didn't know I just signed with a major record deal. You didn't know I've been applying to jobs and it's looking really promising. If you didn't know Chance and you didn't know how he was and you didn't know what he has done in the past, maybe you might believe him that he's been working on something. He's got something really big on the horizon. If you just be patient, it's going to be huge. I will say this about Lorne. God, I hate talking. You know what? Saying anything nice about Lorne Armstrong just makes my stomach turn. He at least has his Hobbit Hole trash trailer. I don't really know if he owns it. I don't know if he's got 72 payments on it left. I have no idea. Again, Lorne is an unreliable narrator, And the records on Lorne, other than his probation and parole, are probably not up to date. His finances. But he wouldn't be desperate to move in with you. He would be desperate for you to move in with him. Cyraxx would be desperate for you to move in with you, unless there was some financial gain to be had for Sally, and then she would be pushing him. Well, I've already got my place. We wouldn't even have to pay rent. We could just... Wrong. Rent would need to be paid, as we've seen in the past, and Cyraxx wouldn't be contributing. Be like Mr. Chinkovich or whatever in Spider-Man. Rent's due. Back to being able to spot it, though. When I first moved to where I'm at right now, my neighbor, I could kind of see how he was with his girlfriend or fiance or whatever. And I mentioned my son. I'm like, yeah, that's not going to last. And he's like, how can you tell? So I laid it out, the behavior, the looks they were trading with each other. And sure enough, 6 months, she was gone. You can just sense unhappiness. You can sense unease. I think the first time you went to Chance's house, you wouldn't be able to see it. You may not even be able to hear it. Although there would be little subtle things like, Chance, I need you to come. Hold on. Yes, Mom. You know, you can hear him doing that right now. You can feel that when you went to a friend's house in high school or elementary school. You could just feel what that household was like. Sally would try to play nice. I know she's so desperate. I've said it before. She is so desperate. Someone, please, come take him away. I can't deal with this anymore. He needs to become your responsibility. And, in all honesty, it would mean Sally would be off the hook for trying to get him help or doing the right thing and putting him in some kind of home or project or plan. Just imagine you're a woman and you're stupid enough to get with Cyraxx. Right now, if I was dating with someone, I have no problem. I'd be like, let me see your phone. Fine, here you go. But I know a lot of people, I do, not Chance a lot of people, but I know a lot of people that would not show their significant other their phone. I'm just saying. Even the most loving relationships, someone said, I love my husband to death. I would never, he's just my world. He's my world. I stroll by and there's a dating app open and they're swiping. Or someone I can tell you right now, if you walk by on their computer, there'll be some kind of, I don't know if it's a stripper or escort or somebody on the screen, and you're just thinking, I'm going to pretend I didn't see that. I'm just making a point. Cyraxx would never, ever be able to show his electronics. Ever. He's going to try to find something else, because it's not good enough to just have one person. He's going to want to have as many as humanly possible. To think that this goblin would believe he deserves more than one partner, it's mind-blowing. The gaslighting would be off the charts, but we've already discussed the gaslighting. What it really comes down to is that to protect someone from Chance, someone desperate, it would be much more challenging. Although you would have to say, look, I know you are desperate. You can stay with me for a little while longer, but the reason to move in with a man is not because you're desperate. It's not because you're depressed or financially struggling. That's not the reason. Because if you move in for that reason, you're kind of going to feel obligated to have some kind of sex with that person, and you're trading money and a place for sex. There's a word for that. You definitely don't want to be that. And I could say the same for Cyraxx. Desperate to move in with any kind of woman. I mean, we saw what happened when he tried to kiss a woman on screen. She about threw up. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. Not unless you want me to cut. God, that will never get old. You wouldn't need to have that conversation with Cyraxx. The conversation you would need to have with him is, do you really want to date someone? Do you really want to be tied down? Is this really what you need? Is it going to interfere with all your toys? Are you going to abandon them so you can come and try to make your music and your artwork and all these $1 million things that you're doing? And you'd have to ask the person who you know that might be trying to find somebody, like, what is it that you're into? Are they into it? Are you prepared to give up what you are doing, what you like? Are you prepared to give that up? Are you the type of person that would give all your stuff up and become interested in what they're doing? New things are always fun, like going out boating. Maybe they're fishing and they go fishing all the time, and you want to go out with them. And then they expect you to go out with them. And then when you ask them, do you want to be a part of my hobbies? Nah, not really. I'm just going to go fishing. Dating is a complicated mess, and Cyrax will not be able to give up. He's too selfish. If you know you're selfish and you're not going to put anybody else through that selfishness, props to you. Props to you for not ruining somebody else's life or making them miserable. Dating is such a mess, such a disaster, and it's really good that Cyrax is not out there trying to date people in real life. That the only relationships, quote unquote, that he will ever have will be online and definitely fake. There is a darkness within that goblin, a bottomless pit, his soulless eyes. Someone would have to pick up on that and just look at it and run the other way. But there's always somebody for everybody. You know what I mean? Everyone. There's someone for everyone. God help you if you are Cyrax's someone. All right, Saturday rant over. I'll see you in the next one.
Hey, ain't gonna make sense to me, dude.